The joint resource allocation negotiations had been proceeding for 6 days. 6 days of the specific, tense quality of significant negotiations that understood their own significance, and that were, in the understanding, present in the significance with the particular, compressed quality of somewhere that knew the stakes were real, and that was, in the knowing, doing the significant work with the full quality the stakes required. The outer sector's primary mineral resources, the specific, strategic quality of something that both civilizations needed, and that the allocation of required the particular, patient quality of the honest negotiation, rather than the institutional posturing that the institutional framework's less honest version of the same function sometimes produced. Davin Sorrell had been the Accord's cultural translation specialist for all 6 days. He was 35 years old, and he had the specific quality that 9 years of the cultural translation function had built in him. Not the diplomatic quality, not the strategic quality, not the institutional face of the Accord's negotiating framework. The particular, functional quality of someone whose work existed in the operational space between the language and the meaning. The person who understood that the diplomatic function's foundation was the honest understanding of what the other side's language contained, and who had been, for 9 years, the person in that gap with the full quality of the honest attention. He was good at his function. He was also, in the specific, honest admission of someone who had been doing the function for 9 years across 12 postings, occasionally prone to the particular quality of the experienced practitioner's comfortable lapse. The specific, involuntary quality of someone who had been so thoroughly immersed in the multiple languages and cultural frameworks of his work that the boundaries between them occasionally, in the unguarded moment, became permeable. Not the careless quality, the particular quality of the experienced practitioner in the sustained function's comfortable state. The specific, honest vulnerability of someone whose immersion had become sufficiently complete that the natural communication and the managed translation were, in the permeable state, not always distinguishable. He had been aware of this quality for 9 years. He had been managing it for 9 years. The management had been adequate. The Varath sovereignty's delegation was led by senior diplomatic envoy Kale Salm. He had been reading her for 6 days with the cultural translation specialist's full quality. The specific, comprehensive attention of someone whose function was the accurate reading of the person across the table, and who was, in the reading, building the complete picture of the person rather than the position. 6 days of the complete attention applied to the specific, particular person who was conducting the Varath delegation with the thorough, precise quality of someone who understood the negotiation's significance, and who was, in the understanding, giving the significance the full quality it deserved. He had filed this with the honest quality of the professional observation, the most technically capable negotiator he had encountered in 9 years of the function. He had filed this with the same honest quality, the person whose cultural framework he had been reading with the most complete attention the framework had ever received from him. Not because the function required the complete attention beyond the standard quality. Because the honest attention was what the complete picture required, and the complete picture was what he was building, and the complete picture required the full quality of the honest attention to build with the completeness it deserved. He had filed both of these observations with the honest quality of the professional function. He had not filed what the two observations together produced. The 6 days afternoon session had the specific, fatigued quality of the 6 days accumulated weight, the particular, honest tiredness that the significant function's sustained performance produced in the people performing it with the complete quality it required across the extended duration. The morning session had been the technical discussion of the second corridor's subprovisions. The afternoon session was the third corridor's allocation framework. He had been translating for 4 hours. The live translation, not the prepared translation, not the document translations considered quality, but the real-time translation, the particular alert quality of someone giving the full quality to the compressed, ongoing time the live negotiation produced. 4 hours of the full quality, the 6 days accumulated weight, the experienced practitioner's immersion at the depth that 4 hours on the 6th day produced, the permeable state. He had been in the permeable state for approximately 40 minutes before the moment. He had not noticed the permeable state's arrival. This was, in the specific, honest account of the permeable state's character, exactly how the permeable state arrived. Not the dramatic arrival, the particular gradual quality of the experienced practitioner settling into the depth of the immersion, where the managed translation and the natural communication were no longer distinguishable from each other. Senior diplomatic envoy Kale Saln had made a specific, technical point about the outer sector's third mineral corridor's allocation framework. The particular, precise quality of someone who understood the technical details with the complete quality of 11 years of the diplomatic function, and who was, in the understanding, communicating the technical details with the specific, honest precision the communication required. He had been translating. He had turned to the Accord's senior negotiator to deliver the translation. He had said, in the common language, Senior Envoy Saln is making the point that the third corridor's allocation framework requires the bilateral assessment mechanism rather than the unilateral one. The specific quality she is emphasizing is the assessment's procedural integrity, my love. The room went silent, not the silence of the dramatic pause or the considered quiet or the professional stillness. The specific, complete, total quality of somewhere that had received something that the receiving had not prepared for, and that was, in the receiving, present in the something with the full quality of the complete and comprehensive stillness. The particular silence of a room where every person present understood exactly what had been said, and exactly what it meant and was, in the understanding, giving the meaning the time it required. He heard the words. He heard them with the specific, compressed quality of someone who had said something, and who was, in the hearing of the said thing, understanding what the said thing contained in the way that the understanding of the said thing's content arrived after the saying rather than before it. My love, in the Varath language's cultural framework, which he knew with the 9 years quality, which he knew with the complete, thorough quality of someone who had built the accurate picture of the framework across 9 years of the honest study. The specific phrase he had used was not the casual endearment of the common language's informal register, not the conventional softening of the direct address, not the habitual qualifier of the comfortable professional relationship. It was the Varath bonding declaration's primary form. He looked at senior diplomatic envoy Kale Saln. She was looking at him. Not the diplomatic quality, not the institutional quality, not the Varath sovereignty's senior envoy's professional register. The specific, full quality of someone who had heard the primary bonding declaration spoken in the open negotiation chamber by the person across the table, and who was, in the hearing, present in the hearing with the full quality of what the hearing contained, and what the hearing's public character meant in the Varath cultural framework's specific, complete structure. He said, in the Varath language, with the quality of someone who had understood what he had said, and who was, in the understanding, in the genuine space of the significant mistake's honest acknowledgement. I require the correction of an error. The room remained silent. The silence lasted. It lasted with the specific, particular quality of somewhere that understood the significance of what had occurred, and that was, in the understanding, giving the significance the time the significance required before the institutional framework's professional response produced itself. He looked at the Accord's senior negotiator. The senior negotiator had the quality of someone who was reading the room and who was, in the reading, understanding that the reading was producing information that the senior negotiator's pre-session briefing materials had not contained. He said in the common language, I made a significant cultural error, I will explain. The senior negotiator looked at the room. The room communicated, the explanation required. He said to the assembled delegations, in the common language, with the quality of someone who was giving the explanation the complete quality it deserved. The Varath language contains a specific phrase, the phrase I inadvertently used in the translation, that carries the cultural weight of the Varath bonding declaration's primary form. The phrase is not the casual endearment of the common language's informal register. In the Varath cultural framework, the phrase communicates the specific, formal intention of the lifelong bond, the particular quality of something that, when spoken in the public space and received in the public space, creates the cultural and institutional obligation that the Varath bonding tradition contains. The senior negotiator looked at him. You said this phrase, the senior negotiator said. Yes, he said. Inadvertently, the specific, honest quality of someone who has been immersed in the multiple languages and cultural frameworks for 9 years and who was, in the 6th day's 4th hour of the live translation, in the particular permeable state that the experienced practitioner's sustained function occasionally produces. The permeable state, the senior negotiator said. The state in which the managed translation and the natural communication are no longer fully distinguishable, he said. The specific, honest vulnerability of the experienced practitioner's deep immersion. The senior negotiator looked at the Varath delegation. He looked at senior diplomatic envoy Kale Song. She was looking at the documentation on the table in front of her, with the specific, controlled quality of someone who was managing the significant thing, with the full resource of the Varath diplomatic corps complete management capability. The management was very good. The institutional quality was present and complete. Underneath the institutional quality, he could read, with the 9 years quality, with the cultural translation specialist's honest, complete attention. The specific, particular quality of someone who was in the genuine space of something significant, and who was, in the being, present in the genuine space with the full quality of the genuine response, managed by the institutional quality. He said in the Varath language, with the quality of someone in the genuine space of the honest acknowledgement. Senior Envoy Song, I owe you the honest account. The phrase was the inadvertent product of the translation's permeable state and was not the intentional declaration. I am offering the correction and the apology with the full quality both deserve. The correction, the declaration was not intentional. The apology, the unintentional declaration's public character and its cultural weight required the intentional quality I did not provide. She looked up from the documentation. She looked at him with the full quality, not the diplomatic quality. The specific, direct quality of someone who had received the honest account and who was, in the receiving, giving the honest account the full attention it deserved. The honest account is received, she said in the Varath language. The correction is noted. She paused. The cultural framework's activation by the public declaration and public receipt is, the accurate word is not immediately reversible by the correction's offer. He looked at her. No, he said, I know. You know the framework, she said. Yes, he said. 9 years of the cultural translation function. The Varath bonding traditions framework is the most thoroughly documented cultural framework in my professional record. She looked at him. You know the framework, she said, and you made the error. Yes, he said. The experienced practitioner, she said. The sustained function's permeable state. Yes, he said. The specific, honest quality of 9 years of the immersion, producing the particular vulnerability of the experienced practitioner in the deep immersion state. She looked at him for a long moment. The framework's provision for the unintentional declaration, she said. Yes, he said. The framework contains the specific provision. Tell me what you know of the provision, she said. He looked at her. The unintentional declaration's provision, he said, requires the specific, formal process the unintentional declaration acknowledged, the correction offered, the framework's assessment of the declaration's honest character conducted by the people the declaration affects. He paused. The framework's assessment requires the honest engagement of both parties with the declaration's content and the correction's content. Yes, she said. The honest engagement, he said. Yes, she said. The senior negotiator said in the common language. The session requires the recess, 1 hour. The professional quality of the institutional framework doing what the institutional framework was built to do in the circumstances required. The delegations withdrew. The negotiation chamber had the specific between-space quality of somewhere that had been the formal institutional space, and that was, in the delegation's withdrawal, in the particular space of what came after the institutional space's requirements. He remained, she looked at him. 9 years, she said. Yes, he said. The Varath cultural framework, she said. The most thoroughly documented in your professional record. Yes, he said. And in 9 years, she said. The Varath bonding tradition's primary declaration has not been present in your translations. No, he said, it has not. The 6th day, she said. The 4th hour. Yes, he said. In the permeable state, she said. The language and the cultural framework become, tell me the accurate word. He looked at her. Natural, he said. The specific, honest quality of the experienced practitioner's permeable state is that the language and the cultural framework become the natural expression rather than the translated expression. The managed translation becomes the natural communication. She looked at him. The natural communication, she said. Yes, he said. In the natural communication, she said, the phrase was the phrase the communication produced. He looked at her with the full quality of the 9 years and the 6 days and the 4 hours and the permeable state and the honest acknowledgement. Yes, he said. In the natural communication, the phrase was the phrase the communication produced. She was quiet for a long moment. The declaration unintentional, she said. Yes, he said, the correction is accurate. And the natural expression honest, she said. He was very still. Yes, he said. Both simultaneously true, she said. He looked at her. Yes, he said, both simultaneously true. She looked at the negotiation chamber. The framework's assessment requires the honest engagement of both parties with the declaration's content, she said. The declaration's content, the natural communication produced the phrase. The correction's content, the declaration was not intentional. She looked at him. The honest engagement with both requires the acknowledgement that both can be simultaneously true. Yes, he said. She looked at him. The 6 days, she said, the complete picture you have been building. He looked at her. Yes, he said. Tell me what the complete picture contains, she said. The honest version. He looked at her with the full quality of 9 years and 6 days, and the permeable state, and the natural expression, and the honest space. The complete picture contains the technical quality, he said. The most technically capable negotiator I have encountered in 9 years of the function. The specific, precise quality of someone who understands the negotiation's significance, and who gives the significance the full quality it requires. Yes, she said. And the complete picture also contains, he said, the honest quality underneath the technical quality. The specific, particular quality of someone who has been giving the negotiations the full quality they require, and who has, in the giving, been present in the honest space of the significant function with the particular quality of someone for whom the function's quality matters. She looked at him. The honest quality underneath the technical quality, she said. Yes, he said, both present, both in the complete picture. She was quiet. My complete picture, she said, of the 6 days. He looked at her. Tell me, he said. She looked at him with the full quality. The cultural translation specialist, she said. 9 years of the function, the complete picture built with the full quality of the honest attention. Not the performed attention of the function's standard requirement. The honest attention of someone for whom the complete picture was what the attention was building. He looked at her. Yes, he said. And in 6 days of the honest attention, she said, the complete picture the honest attention built. Yes, he said. She looked at him. Both complete pictures, she said, contain the same quality. He looked at her. Yes, he said. The same quality. She was quiet for a long moment with the quality of someone who was in the genuine space of the significant thing, and who was, in the being, present in it with the full quality of the honest space. Kale, he said. Her name in the Accord's personal register, not the senior diplomatic envoy's formal designation, not the Varath sovereignty's lead negotiator's institutional address. The name in the register of the honest space. She looked at him. Daven, she said. His name in the Varath personal register, not the cultural translation specialist's designation, not the Accord delegation's functional member. The name in the register of the honest space. He looked at her. The framework's assessment, he said. The honest engagement's conclusion. She looked at him. The framework's assessment concludes, she said, that the declaration unintentional and the natural expression honest are both simultaneously true. She paused. The framework's assessment also concludes that the honest space produced by the framework's honest engagement is the accurate word is present. The honest space is present, he said. Yes, she said. For as long as the honest space is present, the hour's recess was concluding. The delegations returned. The negotiations resumed with the professional quality of the institutional function, resuming what the institutional function was built for. He translated with the full quality of the function, the complete attention, the managed translation given the complete quality of the management, and the honest attention given the complete quality of the honest attention. Both present, both real. The 6 days afternoon session proceeded with the specific, productive quality of the significant negotiations, finding the honest space between the two civilizations' positions. At the 17th hour, the session concluded. The third corridor's allocation framework agreed in principle. The bilateral assessment mechanism's procedural design established. The particular, significant quality of 6 days of the honest negotiation producing the honest progress the honest negotiation deserved. The delegations prepared for the departure. She was at the documentation's formal completion. He was at the delegation's assembly point. She looked at him across the negotiation chamber. He looked at her. She said, in the Varath language, with the quality of the institutional space and the honest space simultaneously present. The cultural translation specialist's function was the complete quality the negotiations required. He said, in the Varath language, with the same quality. The senior diplomatic envoy's technical capability was the complete quality the negotiations deserved. She looked at him. Tomorrow's session, she said, the fourth corridor. Yes, he said, the bilateral assessment mechanism's second component, she said. Yes, he said, the technical discussion. She looked at the negotiation chamber. The honest space, she said. Yes, he said, the framework's assessment. It is present, she said. Yes, he said, it is present. She looked at him with the full quality. The Varath sovereignty's senior diplomatic envoy, and the person who had been in the honest space of the framework's assessment, and who was, in the departure's moment, in the particular quality of someone who was in both simultaneously. Davan, she said, his name in the register of the honest space. Kale, he said, her name in the same register. She looked at the negotiation chamber's exit. Tomorrow, she said. Yes, he said, tomorrow. She left. He stood in the negotiation chamber with the assembly's quality and the sixth day's conclusion and the framework's assessment and the natural expression and the honest space and the tomorrow. The senior negotiator stood beside him. The framework's provision, the senior negotiator said, applied with the appropriate quality. Yes, he said, and the honest space, the senior negotiator said. He looked at the negotiation chamber's exit. Present, he said. The senior negotiator looked at him. The natural communication, the senior negotiator said, in the permeable state. Yes, he said. The phrase was the phrase the communication produced, the senior negotiator said. He looked at the senior negotiator. Yes, he said. The senior negotiator was quiet for a moment. Tomorrow, the senior negotiator said, the fourth corridor. Yes, he said. The cultural translation specialist's function, the senior negotiator said. Yes, he said, the function. The honest attention, the senior negotiator said. He looked at the negotiation chamber's exit. Yes, he said. The honest attention. Outside, the diplomatic complex continued its function with the institutional quality of the significant institution, doing what the significant institution was built to do. Inside the negotiation chamber, the cultural translation specialist stood in the specific, genuine quality of the honest space. The space that the sixth day and the 4 hours and the permeable state, and the natural expression and the primary bonding declaration, and the silence and the framework's assessment, and the honest engagement, and the complete picture, and the name in the honest space's register, and the tomorrow had built. Not the error, not the institutional management of the significant mistake. The honest space, where the natural expression was the honest expression, where the declaration unintentional and the natural expression honest were both simultaneously true, where the complete picture was the complete picture and the honest attention was the honest attention, and the name was said in the register of the genuine thing, where the tomorrow was real, which was, as the 9 years and the 6 days and the 4 hours and the permeable state, and the natural expression, and the silence and the framework, and the honest space and the tomorrow had always been building toward. Exactly where the natural communication led, when it was the honest communication, and the honest communication was the sufficient reason. The honest space present, the natural expression real, the tomorrow real together.